this week, the sky brings not only the start of a new calendar year, but also a new astrological chapter that is going to ask all of us to return deeper to ourselves through honoring our emotional boundaries, through self-care, through returning home to ourselves, and so much more. And I'm going to get into what all of that means for us, the cosmic baddies.
Welcome to Cosmic RX Radio, a podcast that gives you real-life tools of spiritual empowerment and pure hype. I'm your host and intuitive guide, MADI Murphy. I'll be serving up your weekly energy readings, cosmic boss interviews, and astro inspiration. Are you ready to love yourself more, manifest your dream life, and own your magic? Let's jump in.
How the hell are we? How are we doing? How are we doing? I am your guide, MADI Murphy, on this wild ride of being a human during these insanely cosmically chaotic and unprecedented times. How is the end of the year for all of us? Let's just check in with yourself. I love a good reflection and digestion moment. If you hear little background noises here, it's because I have baby Sag, baby Santi, my little lightning bolt in studio, quote unquote, with me because, well, he is rather attached. He is rather attached, and I'm loving it. And it's given me so much inspiration as we get ready for one of the big astrological transits that kicks off the day this podcast comes out, January 6th. That's going to really define the first part of the year. And that is Mars going retrograde in the sign of Cancer. So if you're already feeling it, the retrograde holiday season was so for real. Everyone I talked to, between Mercury being retrograde till the 15th and then Mars being retrograde in Leo, so many stories this holiday season of everything being a little topsy-turvy, not going the way we thought, frustrations, agitations, delays, hijinks, but we're here. We're learning from it. We're learning from it. But I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who reached out and who, we got to spend 2024 with in some way. Just had a few of you send me really nice notes about little moments that got you through this year, or having your own astrological ahas, or finding some sort of medicine in our community. So here's to another year of blessings, of growth, of expansion, and of just being the heart-centered baddies with the badasses with good hearts who are going to change this whole planet. We need you, and we're doing it together. And with that, before I get into today's episode, just Virgo announcements. A few of you did reach out about working with me in the new year. There's some waitlist options. You can find it in my Instagram bio or in the show notes. One-on-one mentorship, Astro Accelerator. I'll be kicking all of that up again in March to get us ready for Aries season, double retrograde eclipse season. March is going to be cuckoo banana pants. So if you want to really start the astrological new year, fresh start, good tools, support, learning more about yourself, your birth chart to help you, your business, get on the wait list to be the first to know about when I open up spots. And then also, if you haven't, definitely check out the replay of the 2025 webinar. I think one of the best gifts you can give yourself is understanding the whole cosmic landscape for the year in a snapshot, in an overview before it's happening, right? It's just that preparedness. It's that context. We did an amazing 2-hour workshop that has a workbook. You can get the slides with it. And not only do I go through all of the major events for the collective and what they mean, like in terms of historically when they happened in other moments in time, but also we get into what it means for you based on your rising sign, on your sun sign. So you can start to really build your own cosmic RX, your own quote unquote prescription plan for the year, really just how to align with your highest and hottest self, how to navigate any turbulence, obstacles, but also how to make the most of opportunities, gifts. It's really, really helpful. It's obviously changed my life, hence why I do this for a living. Yes, so go check out the replay if you haven't, or gift it to someone who might be a fellow cosmic baddie, witchy weirdo, mystic mama. And with that, speaking of all of the above, if astrology isn't real. Okay, first, if astrology isn't real, 2025. So we're doing a little bit of a recap. We took our break for 2 weeks. Let's just talk about like the Mars in Leo retrograde of it all. There's so many headlines. It's hard to parse through, but I'm going to pick 2 of the top that a lot of you were messaging me about. So we know Leo is the sign of celebrity, Hollywood, royalty, rulers, leaders. Mars is the planet of war, aggravation, aggression, fighting. Retrograde, we're going to see ourselves returning to old issues. We're going to see infighting. We're going to see frustration. We're going to see things coming to light. And we saw 2 things. This whole like Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni debacle feels very Mars and Leo retrograde, right? We saw, it was actually during the summer when Mercury was retrograde, and Mercury was retrograding through Leo and Virgo. And Blake Lively has a lot of Virgo in her chart. We saw kind of the beginning of the story. So there's no surprise that during the Mercury retrograde, Mars retrograde, we saw more of it come out. And then even on the day of this recording of this podcast, there's another development where I think Justin Baldoni is now suing the New York Times. And listen, I don't, have a crystal ball into being able to understand every single thing that happened, what went down. But I think the takeaways are that multiple things can exist and be true at once. I think Blake Lively has done some things that have made her a little unlikable. But does that also excuse inappropriate behavior from men on a set? Absolutely not. Do I believe that people create really vicious and well-detailed attacks against women, against their character, to stop them from speaking out against such behavior? Absolutely. Do I think as a society we are easily, myself included, sometimes manipulated into jumping onto like hating a woman? Yeah. Do I also think that Hollywood is just toxic AF? Yes. That's what I was like, the big takeaway from this whole thing was like, no matter what's going on, both of you seem a little ridiculous and self-absorbed and manipulative and doing something that's just Hollywood. It never will cease to amaze me. Whoever is doing the thing to the other person, or in this case, like, I don't know, maybe, there's always like the 3 sides of the stories, your side, their side, and then what actually happened. So God knows. But what I do know is it felt very Mars and Leo retrograde. Also, Mars and Leo, our unfortunate president-elect Donald J. Trump has a Mars and Leo natal. And we saw during this break a lot of infighting. I think I barely have been on my phone between holidays, visitors, traveling, newborn, juggling, the 2 under 13 months energy. But I did see the infighting in the Republican Party with the quote unquote like MAGA purists versus like the Elon Musks of it all about the visas to get more engineers to come into the US from India, from China. And it was very interesting. Very, very interesting because it didn't take very long for that to happen. And we really saw like leopards eating their face moment of people who were voted for Republican Party feeling immediately the inherent racism and just vitriolic, like to talk online about, it's just never a good idea to think that a party who is racist against anyone, who is essentially an immigrant that's not white, to think they're not going to come for you one day, right? And we just saw play out. It's going to be interesting how it continues to play out, but it all felt, again, very Mars in Leo retrograde, returning back to some issues, infighting, and of course, at the helm of it all, someone whose natal Mars is in Leo. And we will continue to track as Mars goes retrograde into Cancer. We'll continue to track what happens in the news that feels like that, keeping in mind, as the United States, we are Cancer. We might see things, with extra nationalism, yay, boo. We might see fighting within families. We might see, again, things coming up, more things around like the border, home, family, children, women. Stay tuned. Let me know what you see that comes up along that feels like your if astrology isn't real moment. And now, speaking of Cancer, speaking of all of the ways in which the cosmic weather affects us, let's talk about the moon. Let's talk about what Mama Moon wants us to know to tune in to our most aligned emotional self-care for the week ahead. So the day this podcast comes out, we have an Aries moon day all day on Monday, January 6th. And then that goes into Tuesday around 5:11. And to start off, this first, I would say, official week back for a lot of us to kind of check out that time between Christmas and New Year's, we're starting that Aries moon energy into the new year, like feeling some initiation energy. Maybe we're doing stuff for ourselves. We're getting some shit done. I would love to see us all kind of take advantage of that, not in a pressure, resolution, change your whole life way, but just of, a little bit of motivation, inspiration. Spoiler alert, Mars in Cancer retrograde is going to have a lot of us wanting to take care of ourselves, our homes more, going within. And so maybe this Aries initiation is that, like, what do I need to take the best care of myself, especially for this January, February time during the retrograde? And like, how do I put some of these habits into place? Maybe it's, just taking the initiative, putting some plans together. We're going to look out for Capricorn sun, Aries moon. We can be a little controlling during that weather. We can be a little bit like too much all business, right? And not enough heart, not enough rest, not enough self-care. Keep in mind, it's still January. We don't build empires in January, okay? We rest, we plot, we plan, we relax, we recharge. And then on Tuesday at 5:11, the moon moves into Taurus and stays there all day Wednesday into Thursday evening around 8 p.m. So Taurus moon, what am I going to tell you? With this Mars in Cancer retrograde, we're taking care of our home, ourselves. We're cooking ourselves lovely meals. Maybe we're decluttering our bathroom and junk drawers. We are resting. We are foam rolling. We are soaking in baths. We are just like tending to the body. I keep seeing this image of like melting away, like tension. Like, where are we holding tension in our body, in our home, in our lives? And like, can we just look at one area and just give it a little love during these days? We're going to look out for. That's a lot of earth energy. So we might want to get into the heart space a little bit. We might want to not bite off more than we can chew. And sometimes the double earth energy can, again, have us just feeling a little hard on ourselves, or like we're not doing enough. And again, we're taking it easy. We're taking it easy. My babies, my cosmic kings, queens, and everything in between, we're being gentle with ourselves. So then Thursday, that evening, the moon moves into Gemini and stays there all day Friday, all day Saturday into the evening. So the Gemini moon energy we love for just, having good conversations, researching or following up with things that interest you. You maybe find a great audiobook to start the year with, or a new podcast. I mean, obviously still listen and subscribe to this one. Hello. But, I just stumbled across some really fun, like, history podcasts, and I'm kind of excited for, again, that cozy winter time of just digging into a good book, a good podcast, maybe write some notes to people, let them know you're thinking of them at the start of the year. I just love that during the Gemini moon energy. We are going to look out for Gemini moon energy with all the retrograde. We can be overthinking things. We can be indecisive. We can be a little ungrounded. So do what you got to do to be grounded, to be in your power, and to just try and stay like clear and move and speak slowly when possible. Then we have Cancer moon energy late the evening of Saturday, the 11th, into the 12th, all day Sunday, Cancer moon. So we got Mars retrograde in Cancer, a Cancer moon Sunday. You know what this is. This is deep self-care. This is deep emotional boundaries. This is deep cutting yourself off to the world. Again, everything, like find a great series you want to watch, bust out like the good bath salts, the face masks you've been waiting for a special occasion to use, maybe meal prep some yummy, healthy, warming food for yourself for the week. Just check in with yourself. Just check in. Like, how am I doing? How am I feeling? What am I feeling? And then that Cancer Capricorn mix Sunday, we are just going to look out for the cardinal signs, we can get a little controlling when that stuff comes up. So just look at if there's any situation that we need to kind of unclench the grip on, anything we're realizing we really can't control other people. What we can control is ourselves, our emotions, our experiences. And I just think, honestly, when the sun and moon are in Cancer and Capricorn together, I think of it as a delicious invitation to do some re-parenting work, even if it's just a day, an hour, thinking about what that looks like, right? What does your inner child need from your internal, like, mother and father, and giving yourself that without apologies. So that is the moon report for our first official real week of 2025. As we get into planetary planning, the big headline I've given you some teasers on, but January 6th, we have Mars retrogrades into Cancer, and will stay there until February 23rd. So Mars went into Cancer in September. So we were familiar with this energy. So we might be returning to some themes that we felt in September, October, early November. And then Mars has been retrograde since December 6th. It was in the sign of Leo. And again, we were seeing some of those Leo themes. It was very hot, very spicy, very much about the me. Again, we saw things on the celebrity and political stage. Now, Mars in Cancer retrograde is a little bit quieter. It's a little bit more of a simmer versus a full-on flame, but we still feel it nonetheless. And, just for everyone, as a reminder, if your natal Mars is in Leo or Cancer, these are very significant months for you. And they will continue to be significant well into the spring of this year, okay? So this is your Mars return. If you're Mars in Cancer and it's retrograde now, and you're just in your Mars return if you were in Leo, and you're going to feel this more impactfully, and you might have really significant ahas or revelations around your energy, your motivation, your emotions during this time. So back to Mars in Cancer retrograde and what it means for all of us. I am going to break down, essentially, I did this for the Mars in Leo episode, Mars retrograde in Leo, and everyone, just got a lot of good. So I'm going to go through 6 ways to work with Mars in Cancer retrograde. Okay, so we love this little listicle last time. I love some good cosmic RXs, cosmic prescriptions. And this is going to be relevant again for a while, for February 23rd, through February 23rd. So before we get into that, just a reminder on a vibe check of Mars in Cancer. So like I said, Mars is the planet of action, drive, ambition. When it goes retrograde, we're all being asked to check in and pause, reflect, recalibrate with ourselves, with how we move through the world, with what is important to us, what motivates us, with, how we take action, and also how we understand spicier emotions, anger, rage, frustration, and really how we harness all this energy and use it to take action, like I said, and put things into that like forward motion for ourselves. So with Cancer, Mars being in Cancer, Mars in Cancer is a interesting placement because Cancer is water, it's ebb and flow, it's the crab. It's not that like direct heat of traditional Martian energy, but it is still fierce. It is still fierce. I always think about Mars in Cancer as the ultimate like mama bear energy, which essentially is like, I'm chill until you try to fuck with my home, my family, my children, my loved ones, my sense of security, safety, and stability. And then it's like, watch the F out, right? So what we can all learn from this is with Mars in Cancer, we are going to be doing some of that pausing, reflecting, recalibrating about our emotions, about home, family, around understanding our intuition, understanding the more subtle energy within us. And of course, like, we're going to be understanding things like how important it is to be in touch with this to start off this year. Because as we know, 2025 is a huge year of a lot of shifts. And I feel like this is the universe's way of saying, slow down, get grounded, get centered, get acquainted with yourself, tend to your home, tend to your energetic and spiritual home and your actual home, so you have a good foundation, a good jumping off place to go through everything else that's going to be coming up. So tip 1 of how to work with this Mars retrograde in Cancer, we are revisiting our emotional boundaries. This is a great time to reassess how we're feeling, right? Safety, vulnerability. Are we feeling tense? Are we feeling a little triggered? Are we feeling a little overwhelmed? Are we overextending ourselves emotionally? Are we letting people drain our energy? Are we letting people maybe take a little bit more than we're comfortable giving? And so I would definitely journal on where, do I feel emotionally spread thin or emotionally spent, or like I'm not in integrity emotionally. Maybe I'm giving out more than I'm receiving, and thinking about how can we be more mindful and really working with the mantra, like my energy is my most precious and sacred resource, right? And I only want to invest it in the people and projects and things that give me that biggest return on investment. I am also LOL, sorry, and Santi, just heavy breathing, panting, burping, farting during this podcast. It's that newborn life. What can I say? Also, boy mom life. This is just going to be my life for forever now. Lots of body sounds. And then on the spiritual side, if we want a little tip here, working with crystals that are grounding and cleansing during this time are going to really help you. Black tourmaline, obsidian. Think about those black heavy stones are very cleansing, very grounding for your energy, very protecting. I love working with like a black tourmaline tower, a big smoky quartz. One of my old teachers used to tell me to put obsidian in my shoes to ground me. And then, of course, working with something like selenite, if we're cleansing our home, selenite near our windows, under our bed, a selenite wand to cleanse our own energy field can kind of help us with the energetic support of setting those boundaries and really tuning in with ourselves. The second tip that I will say is we're going to really want to declutter our emotional, our physical spaces. It's going to benefit us on all the levels, mentally, spiritually, energetically, emotionally, physically. Cancer rules the home. Mars retrograde is the ultimate cosmic green light to declutter. Start with your most common living spaces, and you can start with one drawer, one closet, and like, what's just stuff that doesn't resonate with the vibe? What is stuff that, again, drains you, is not aligned with you? Where are the areas of your house that cause the most stress when you think about them, or you're avoidant? Or again, is it decluttering old letters, journals, having a good burn? Is it decluttering all the open tabs or unread text messages or emails? And again, like, you have till end of February, so you can do this at a mindful pace. But just thinking about, like, what are we especially holding on to from any of those spaces that feels outdated to you, that feels like carrying an energy from a past relationship, situationship, or moment in time that doesn't resonate with you anymore. Let's release that, okay? And declutter. Let's make space so we can think more clearly and so we can make space for more of what we're calling in. So tip 3, I want you to nourish yourselves, babies, mind, body, and soul. I want us to think about retrogrades slow us down always, and Mars retrogrades really slowed us down our energy. So if you're feeling more tired, more damp, more heavy, more lethargic, yeah, like the universe will say, like, if you don't slow down, we will slow you down for you. So this is a time of year where a lot of us could, get little bugs or viruses. So let's slow down before that happens. Let's listen to, like, we're not listening to the traditional muggle, new year, new you. Let's jump on all the new things, do everything, try and change ourselves overnight. But instead, like, let's change ourselves from within to align to our best selves through self-care, through listening to ourselves, through nourishing ourselves, and through, like, kind of being okay with doing that and not feeling like it's selfish and not feeling like we're missing out on something. For a lot of you, I feel like this Mars retrograde time is going to be so important to launch forward into something new that you're doing. Like I said, in that March, April time of Aries season with the eclipses, there's a lot of new energy coming in this year, but we really want to focus on ourselves and, like, start all of that from the place of the full cup with a lot of gas in the tank, air in the tires. So I would love to have you for January put a date on the calendar where you're really just focusing on yourself. Think comfort foods, long baths, naps, reading a book, lighting a candle, like whatever it is, going to a spa day. I know as a new mom of two babies, like I'm hearing myself and being like, oh my God, yeah, I would love to, but how? But the truth is we can always figure out a way. Part of me is like, okay, I'm nursing, as you can probably tell by Santi's breathing, but I'm like, all right, January, I'm going to do a little pumping, give the baby to Dada, give Jordy to Dada, and maybe some backup. And I got to spend a day to myself because I can feel I love being a mother. It's so Cancerian, but it's full on. It's all consuming. And it's just it's such a metaphor for the Cancer energy of like, a lot of us are holding emotional space for ourselves and other people. And we can do it joyfully and gratefully, but it just does take a toll. And it's so cliche, but you can't give from an empty cup or putting your face mask, oxygen mask on yourself. It's so important. So I also would love if in that nourishing yourself, for tip number 3, if there was an element of water. Cancer loves water. So my husband's family got me a really sweet gift card to like a beautiful bathhouse in the city. So I'm like, I'm eyeing you up. I'm eyeing you up. But if you can, take a beautiful salt bath, meditate by a body of water, maybe get away somewhere where you can be by water. These are all things that can really help us cleanse and renew while we're nourishing ourselves. All right, tip number 4 of how to work with Mars in Cancer retrograde. We are going to use this time, all of us, to reassess our ambitions, our goals, what we're doing, why we're doing it. Is it still aligned? Is it still true to us? Like I said, Mars governs our divine drive, our most aligned ambition, and our desires. So retrograde is a great time to pause and check in on our goals. Like, are we chasing things that are still true to us? Are they aligned with our values, what we want out of our life? Are we stuck on the hamster wheel of shoulds? Or maybe, we change, we evolve, we're dynamic. So are our dreams, goals, and desires. And sometimes we get so caught up in doing the thing that we don't even realize, like, is this still true to us? So I would love for you to take a pause, map out your goals, maybe map out your values, map out what do you really want out of this next year, and use this like Cancer energy to tap into your intuition and ask like, what feels right? What's important to me? Maybe you pull some cards. Maybe you, again, look at some of your astrology for the year through things like our webinar, through other readings, and be like, oh, okay, maybe there's something I wasn't feeling at first, or again, there's just been a shift. And so I invite you to just really sit with this and allow yourself to change, allow goals to change, allow the map, the path to change. There's no point in busting your ass and just breaking down your spirit to do something that's not even going to light you up. It happens to us. It's such human nature. So permission, invitation to pause, to reassess. Tip number 5 this is a big one, but I invite you to bring in some either healing or love or just sacred intentional time with family. Mars retrograde in Cancer is a great time to bring in, to heal family dynamics. This is something that you need, which honestly, who of us doesn't? And whether it's little things like just, okay, maybe we need some more quality time with our partners, our siblings, our parents, our close people, or maybe it's something big. Maybe there's big ancestral patterns, generational trauma that we're becoming more aware of. So whether it's quality time or whether it's going to therapy or looking into something like family constellations or having some important talks, this is going to be a big time to go further with that. And, don't be surprised if the old family dynamics or something surfaces, a little tense tightness comes up around any of these themes. This is a time to heal, to release. And so anything that comes up, just look at it. The trigger is the teacher. The wound can be the guide, and just be open. So during this time, like I said, therapy, family constellations, having honest and open conversations, writing letters to people, even if you're not sending them, having conversations, getting things off your chest can all be really practical ways to work with this. And then spiritually, this might be a great time to work with your ancestral energy, lighting a candle for your ancestors, building them an altar, asking them for their help with like breaking any of these patterns can be always just such a superpower, such an amazing tool in our tool belt. And then the last tip, which is going to be so huge for so many of us, but also so hard, I know, is we want to really embrace rest as productivity. We want to embrace the slowing down to speed things up. We all say this till we're blue in the face, but it's still hard. It's a reason why we have to keep talking about it and keep being reminded of it, and why the cosmos will keep sending us signs to do it. But, the retrograde, we got to rewrite this narrative around rest. And like I said, for so many of us, this is going to be a cocoon time where we know where the slowing down, the resting, or the doing this stuff, like also rest. When I say that, doesn't mean you have to like sleep all day, every day and hibernate for 2 months, even though, not going to lie, that sounds kind of good right now to me. It's like doing the things the outside world might not see, witness, appreciate, validate. It's not the stuff that's going to make it to social. It's not the big wins, accomplishments. It's not the big traveling. It's not the big, like, I don't know. I think about it a lot. It's like, this is not the stuff they're necessarily posting about or getting a lot of applause from, but it's the stuff, it's the resting, the taking care of yourself, the healing, the decluttering, taking care of things that are important to you, the planning, the hard work. The outside world might not really witness, but then, where you end, what happens from that is where people will probably notice it. So yes, scheduling downtime, saying no to things, just being okay with like having a little FOMO. Again, we live in the land of social media where even in this restful, such a northern hemisphere hibernation time, there are still people who are going to be posting the trips, the big accomplishments, the wins, the hustling forward, the like blah, 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 how many figure months they've had. I just invite you to quiet down that noise and really do things that are sacred, that are investments energetically in who you want to be, where you want to go. And remembering that like the more spaciousness you have, in that spaciousness, you connect to your sacredness. And in the rest, you find renewal. Okay, big sigh of relief. So as a reminder, again, like I mentioned, if your natal Mars is in Cancer, all of these tips that I just gave are going to be extra important, extra relevant for you during this time because you are having a really big check-in and reset with yourselves. So 6 ways to work with Mars retrograde in Cancer. And remember, we're not fearing the retrograde. Listen, that Mercury-Mars retrograde was hard. I had a baby in the middle of it, moved during the middle of it, traveled during the holidays. I'm not going to act like there's not nuisances, aggravations, frustrations, things that really test your human patience. But I also see how it comes to realign me, myself, with new truths, new ways of being. And so we're going to lean into the lessons. We're trusting the process. We're knowing that you are exactly where you're meant to be. And anything that pops up that might feel uncomfy, it's a teacher. It's a guide. So thanks for hanging out with me, as always, me and Sanji and his little grunty newborn noises. If you found this episode helpful, share it with your cosmic crew, with your baddies. As always, if you subscribe to the podcast, I never really say this, but I'm like, in the new year, I gotta mention it more. If you like this, subscribe, leave us a review. We really appreciate it. Let's spread the magic. I so appreciate all of you. And until next time, stay radiant, really come home to yourself, keep vibing high, and I am sending you deep blessings for those big, fat, juicy sex and lots of hot, fulfilling, toe-curling sex. I'll see you next week. Mwah. Do you love getting your Cosmic RX for the week here and want more? Make sure to sign up for our premium subscription so you can get exclusive access to bonus podcast episodes, all of my astrology info for the month ahead, and live new and full moon calls to help you manifest your dream life with an intentional international community of other cosmic baddies. Sign up through our link in show notes.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to know more about Cosmic RX, head on over to thecosmicrx.com. And if you really love this show, I'd love it if you left a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. I super love hearing from you and reading your reviews. All right, you cosmic baddie, tune in next week. And until then, remember, love yourself fully, work your magic, and take no shit.